You should not do this when moving to Orlando, Florida, because if you do it, you might as well just not even move because you're going to be in a world of pain. Let's get into it. What's up, everyone? My name is Cameron Hodge. On this channel, I talk about living and moving to Orlando, Florida, and I absolutely love it. I drop videos every Tuesday and Thursday, so if you hit subscribe and hit the notification icon to be notified every time I drop a new video. But while I even love creating this content to help you when moving to Orlando, Florida, what I love even more being a licensed real estate agent here in Florida is helping you with your real estate decisions when moving to Orlando, Florida. This number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me. Call, text, email, whatever you need to do to get a hold of me when making the move to Orlando, Florida. I have your back. I get calls days, nights, weekends, all the time, and I love it. This is what I do. I've relocated myself. I'm not just coming on here to give you advice from someone. I've moved a lot between the military and moving my family to Florida years ago, and I promise you I'm here to help you in making that move. All right, getting into the video. So what shouldn't you do when making the move to Orlando? So I think one of the biggest things is making sure you actually like the area. Believe it or not, we have definitely had some reach outs. I've had some reach outs and taking some calls where they're like, look, I've never been to Florida, but my job's relocating me, or this is happening. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's making sure that you set up your situation when you move here, because you might 2-3 years down the road find out, look, this isn't the place for me. And you need to understand that may be the case. There's a lot of people that are just like, look, they see how Florida is really open. It's the freedom's a lot higher than it would be in like other states, California, and they come here for a better life, and I think that's what we all come to Florida for, is a better life. But don't not like, if you can make a trip out here to see it before you make the move out here, like I always recommend people do that. It's hard, not everyone can do it. We have a client that reached out to us who is not able to do that because Disney's relocating them out here. But it's one of those things where if you have the ability to make a trip out here, like, you have to experience it. And honestly, come during the dead of summer. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. But it's going to give you like the worst case scenario about living out here in Orlando. And I always want people to make sure that you're coming into that move, making sure that you're making the right decision. So don't, like, that's why I say that one of the top things don't do out here is don't just move out here and be caught in that chaos. That being said, what else shouldn't you do when making the move out here? Well, when it comes to renting or buying, right? A lot of people, the market, they look at the market, it's crazy. It's crazy everywhere. A lot of times, our clients coming from New York City, California, especially Los Angeles, San Francisco, like, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so much more affordable. Instead of a condo, I can get a large, 3-4 bedroom home in Orlando. And it's like, yes, you can. But make sure that what you're doing is a smart decision. We had a client, she's looking to move out here. She had, looking to make purchase a home, first home, and easily attainable, right, for her situation. But it's making sure it's, the areas that she's looking at are going to be top areas when it comes to holding value in Orlando. It's not going to be like out in the middle of nowhere, because you're right. Like, what if 2-3 years down the road, you're like, what, I really don't like leaving my family where I came from, so you want to move back. And making sure your home is in a position to where it helps you in the moment, but also serves you further on, because it's not just about buying a home and getting into one. It's also making sure that you have everything lined up for the future to where all the scenarios are covered. So that if you do choose to go back, like, when there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's okay to move somewhere. Like, I've done it, and I think everyone should do it. Is at some point in your life, you have to leave the hometown, like, or the home city. Like, you need to travel elsewhere to find out what it's like. What is it like to live there? Get different perspectives, because that really is what's so great about America, is like that energy to travel around and live in different states and areas and be able to get that full idea of what everyone's like, and really, I think, round yourself as a person. But yeah, it's making a decision. Like, renting could be an option, but I will tell you that you're also not building any wealth with it. And I'm not going to go down that road too much, but it's like making sure create that long-term plan. Like, decide, like, what are your options? And if you don't know what your options are, and you're like, Cameron, what the heck are you talking about? Like, I thought it was just buying or renting. Like, what's the difference? One's going to my landlord, one's kind of going to equity, right? Or whatever the heck that is. Reach out, give me a call, text. Like, we can have that conversation and talk about what different scenarios could look like for you, different options, things that maybe you didn't even think about, because you never know. Now, one of the things I say don't do when you come out here is, like, don't just rush into it. Like, do your research. like make sure that you're getting everything. Like make sure you're looking at all the schools, because like, well, I do these videos and like I'm sure like if you search for Orlando, there's 1,000 other people out there that are telling you like everything. It's like, but you have to make your own opinion. Like don't like there is no one-stop shop for everything. Like I pride myself in the service I do and making sure I give you the most information possible and making that move, but at the same time, like you have to make sure that you're going to the right area. Make sure look at all the schools, because it might have an A rating, but it doesn't mean the school fits your needs. Or maybe you want to go private. Maybe you have the money and you're like, look, I want to put my kids to a private school. And that's always an option too, or charter school. Like there's so many options. Or maybe you want to homeschool and choosing a right area. Maybe you want to like a little bit of, want to do a homestead, have a home with a little bit of land so you can garden and stuff like that, and incorporate that into your homeschool structure. Like literally whatever fits your needs. Like make sure that you have an idea of what you want to get into. Don't just come to Orlando with like blindly and not make a decision of what your non-negotiables are, what you need for you or your family. Or maybe you are single, you don't have any kids, you're like, Cameron, I could give two craps about living in a condo or anything like that, but I want to be as close to downtown and that area that's going on. Well, there is also a lot of new construction. There's older condos as well, but there's also some new construction condos that are going up, in Southwest Orlando, and like maybe you want to get into one of those. Maybe you want to get into a brand new condo and you love being so close to everyone and in that culture, but at the same time you're still building your equity in a brand new home, or condo in that case. But like how awesome would that be? So it's making sure you get the full idea of what's available to you when making that move out here. Like don't just look like, oh, I know I should buy a home instead of rent, so I'm just gonna come out to Orlando and buy something. Like sure, like coming from where you're at, like it might be cheaper, it might be like, wow, I can get like a huge home, why wouldn't I? Look, every market still has its pros and its cons, and make sure that you get the most information you can when it comes to making that move. Like even if you can't visit Orlando before moving here, but you're moving, you're like, I am making this change to give a little bit of change in my life, make sure that you're making the right decision. You're getting do as much research as possible, and when you're ready, you give me a call and we'll talk and walk through some different options and what you can do, and making sure that maybe there's information that you saw that you're like, wow, I didn't even know that, and we can have that conversation and make sure that everything's lined up. And then moving to the next point as well, it's like have a good mindset. Like like what the heck, like we all come here, like Orlando is such a melting pot of people from so many different places, and especially with COVID made it even more extravagant in that respect. But it's make sure you have a good mindset. Like I think we all come here to have a better life, or to do something better, have a better life in some way, shape, or form. I mean, I always told my story before, but we made the move out here to really just have a better life, to do something better for us and our family. And Orlando did not disappoint. Like it really provided so much for our family, and we were able to, like I said, we were able to yin and yang. Like me and my wife are, we agree on a lot of things, but we're also, our likes are separate. Like she loves theme parks, I despise them, but I do it for her and the kids. I'm more of a country person, but I can still drive, within an hour distance from Orlando in some direction, and probably hunt hogs, or I can just even go on hikes and things like that. There's fishing, which I'm getting into. My wife is super into it. I'm getting into it more as time goes on, but it's making sure like this doesn't disappoint for us, and it's making sure that you understand that why you're coming out here. Coming out here, I think we all come out here for a better life in some way, like whether it's more freedom or whatever your reason is. Like we all have that one reason where you're like, man, I'm coming out here because I want something better than what I have currently. Because if you love so much where you're at, like why would you move? And if you're now hearing this and you're like, wow, I was looking to make a move, but I guess I do love where I'm at, like, well, then don't move. Like there's always, like, you don't have to move, just because everyone's doing it. Like make sure you understand why you're moving and why it's a good decision. So, this is some big things about like what you shouldn't do when making the move to Orlando, because you're like, don't forget, like you're moving. Like it's not like it's an easy, simple thing. Like even if you're moving from like just only like North Florida, right? That's still a long way, especially if you have no support structure. And actually that leads me to do a next thing, is making sure you understand, like, because if you are so, big with family and you're so attached to family and friends, understand when you move out here, like you are going to be by yourself initially. Like you will meet people, like you'll have work friends, and like your network will grow, but you're coming out here here really not knowing anyone, not having, you know, any support structure that's immediately here. Now, like one thing that I try, like I understand that pain, and that's why one way, like when people reach out, whether they're relocating now in the future or maybe even never, or maybe they're already in Orlando, that I meet is like I created like a Facebook group, you know, me and my team, and it's just a group of everyone who's relocating here that I know that's in Orlando that's helpful. And it's all in that group, because coming out here with no community, I think that's one thing that me and my wife learned really fast, is that we needed to build our own community. Because having people, especially if you're like a mom, right? Like, you know, you can post in like that Facebook group and be like, hey, like, what's a good daycare? Or, hey, like, you know, this is what I have for insurance. Like, does anyone have a good doctor in this area that they recommend, or things like that? And like, all of a sudden, you have a bunch of moms getting together, helping each other, you know, through that group. And it's creating that community. It's something I love, and I always give to everyone. But it's, you know, I think it's really important that if you need to understand, like, don't understand that you're going to come out here with like no support. Like, understand that you're coming out here, you're going to be making that decision, and it could be rough. But at the same time, like, there are people here, like, there are helpful. There are, you know, programs and things and events, like even like there's also, like, you look in Davenport, right? Like recently in this last year, they finished a new community center, and there's community centers in every city. So making sure you look, like, there might be like shows or events or things like that you can go to meet people that are like you, because you obviously both agree with the event that you're going to, and creating that community. Because if you never had to do it before leaving home, like, it is hard initially. Unless you're like an introvert and you're like, I just want to stay in my house the whole time. But if you're an extroverted and you really need those people to be around, well, just realize that you will have to get out there and you will have to put in some work to build that network back up, and people that support you and are there for you if you need it. But, you know, that's the base conversation of what you should not do when making the move to Orlando, things to think about when making that move out here. I hope you got value in this video. Like I said, if you are looking to make the move out here, you just want to have a conversation about what different options could look like, what the market's like, should you even make the move out here, and or maybe even get deep on my story because it resonates with you. This number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me. I love having conversations with those who are looking to move out here, who are moving out here. It's what I do. I'm so passionate about it. I love it. I really do. So do that. I hope you really enjoy the video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.